part of this lesson is to find the coordinates of the orthocenter. Okay, that is our last point of concurrency that we will talk about. The orthocenter is formed by finding the altitudes of each side of the triangle. So an altitude is better yet known as the height of the triangle. That's what we most likely have heard of that word before. Right? And an altitude, if I was to look at this picture right down here, an altitude can be described as being perpendicular to a side, so it's perpendicular to this sign down here, AC, and going through the opposite vertex, B. Okay, that's going to kind of help us to understand how to write an equation of an altitude. So your steps, what this is going to look like, you first need to graph it. You then have to do steps 2, 3, and 4 twice before you can do step 5. So step 2 is going to ask you to find the slope of a side, then find a perpendicular slope, and then you need to write the equation using the perpendicular slope and the opposite vertex. Again, you'll do that twice, and then you move on to step 5 to find the intersection point. So, what does that look like? Let's use this example here. Here's my triangle. I want to find the orthocenter. I did step 1 already. So we're going to do steps 2, 3, and 4 kind of right in a row. Okay, so let's start with side FH. Okay, I'm going to put a nice mark here. That way I know I found the slope of this side first. Okay, so that's what step 2 is. We need to find the slope of FH. So my slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Well, let's start with y2 being negative 2. We have negative 2 minus 4 over 1 minus negative 2. On top, that's going to get me negative 6 over positive 3, which will give me a value of negative 2. And again, this was for side FH. So that is step 2. Step 3 out of this is to find the perpendicular slope. Perpendicular slope, this is reading negative 2 over 1. Remember, perpendicular slope is opposite reciprocal, so it's going to become a value of 1/2. And it has to go through the opposite vertex. This is going to be step 4 now. Through the opposite vertex, which is going to be point G over here. So I'm going to use 4, 4. It's opposite the side that we found the slope. I noticed that 4, 4 is not the y-intercept, so we're going to use point slope form, which looks like this. We're going to plug in our information. So we're going to have a y minus 4, which is the y-coordinate of my point, equal to my slope, and then x minus 4, because that's also the x-coordinate of my point. Distribute, y minus 4 is going to get you a 1/2 x minus 2, and then we'll add 4 over to get y equals a 1/2 x plus 2. And I'm going to put a nice star next to that one. Now we're going to go back and we're going to do steps 2, 3, and 4 again. I'm going to write that first. Steps 2, 3, and 4 again. And this time I'm going to say, let's find the slope of this side, GH. Okay, so I'm going to write GH. My coordinates for this were 4, 4, and 1, negative 2. Again, I'm going to find slope. That was step 2. So negative 2 minus 4 over 1 minus 4 will get us negative 6 over negative 3, which will simplify to a slope of positive 2. Step 3 again was to find perpendicular slope. Again, this is 2 over 1 Opposite reciprocal will get us a negative 1/2 this time. Going through the opposite vertex, so again I found the slope of GH, which is this side. My opposite vertex should be F, which is at -2, 4. So -2, 4. Again, -2, 4 is not the y-intercept, so we're going to go y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. So we have y minus 4 equals -1/2 x minus -2. We're going to distribute. Y minus 4 is going to get us -1/2 x. This inside of here is really the same thing as plus. Minus negative is plus. Times the minus again, though, is going to give you a -1. And then add your 4 over. So y equals -1/2 x plus 3. We're going to start that one as well. Right? And then we're on to our last step. Our last step is to solve and find the point of intersection. Okay? This is step 4 now. So I'm going to use y equals -1/2 x plus 3 and y equaling +1/2 x plus 2. Right? Those should have been my, I need to double check. +1/2 x, yep, plus 2. Okay. So I've got my two equations. Now, since they're both equal to y, I'm going to set their right sides equal to each other. So I've got 1/2 x plus 2 equal to -1/2 x plus 3. I'm going to add 1/2 x to both sides, which is going to give me 1x on this side. And I'm going to subtract 2 to get me an x value of 1. Okay? And then I need to take that x value and I need to plug it back in. So I'm going to plug it back into this equation here, this bottom one. So I've got 1/2 times 1 plus 2, which will give me 1/2 plus 2, which should come out to a y value of 2.5. So our coordinate of the orthocenter is going to be 1, 2.5. And there's your answer.